Hello and welcome to this video where we have come into the Marts part of our modern data stack. So before that, we have worked with creating the whole full pipeline from using DLT to load the data into DuckDB that we use as our data warehouse. And when it's loading into DuckDB, it's loading into a layer called staging layer. After the staging layer, we take dbt to do modeling and refining it. So transforming the data in the refined layer. And now we will go into the Marts layer. And the Marts layer is basically the serving layer of the data warehouse. So no matter if you're using DuckDB or you're using, for example, Snowflake, Redshift, or Query, you can still divide it into these different layers. So that is how you can structure your data warehouse in a nice way. And then the Marts layer, in here you will have your dashboard application connect directly to the Marts layer. So the dashboard shouldn't connect to any of the layers before. So no models before will be connected to the dashboard. In an organization that is a little bit larger, you could use one Mart, for example, serving HR. You could use one Mart for serving salary, for example, and one Mart for serving marketing, etc. So that different could access different Marts. And this is the idea behind it. But in this example, we will just make some simple Marts. Maybe one or two, so that you get to see how it's practically done. And then for different organization, you scale it in different ways. Okay, so here I am in Visual Studio Code. And in Visual Studio Code, you can see now that we have our models. We have our dimensional models. We have our fact job ads. These follow the star schema that you've seen before in the dimensional modeling. And here are the sources which we use, which is the upstream going to the dimensions and fact tables as the downstream. The dimension and fact tables will go to the Marts, which is the downstream of these tables here. Now we're in the Marts layer. So in the Marts layer, we want to pick out the data we want to serve to our business intelligence for our BI dashboard, right? And so what I do is in the models here, I will create another folder called Marts. And I need to make sure that my dbt project YAML, what I've written here, is very important that this schema is called Marts, and then this name here is called Marts. Otherwise, if you misspell it, they will go into the wrong schema. So let's create another script here, and I will call this Mart underscore technical jobs.sql. And let me change here to Jinja SQL. Okay, save this one. And let's start with our CTE. So with fact job ads as select star from ref. So this is the dbt power user that gives us this snippet. So then we choose the model name. And so fact job ads should come from fact, right? So FCT for fact job ads. So basically we're referring to this model here. Okay. And then with this one, let's select star from fact job ads like this. Oh, I wanted to let's run this one and see that it works. Yes, so this is the query that I get from the fact job ad. So I basically select star from it. And as you remember, these are the IDs, the surrogate keys for job ads, job details ID and employer ID. And then you have occupation ID. So this one you will be able to join to the dimensional tables. So this is quite cool. So look what we have in our dimensions. We have dim job details and we have dim occupation, right? So After the fact, so this is the fact, and we want to, actually I will give it some space and do a comma here. And I will also make this a little bit nicer. So dim job details as select star from ref. And then I will choose what it's called. Dim job details. Okay. And then comma. And what I can do is shift alt down button, and this copies it. And it's not dim job details anymore. It's dim occupation. Select star from dim occupation. Okay. And auto shift alt F to do auto formatting. Okay, so it looks like this now. If I rerun this one with command enter, it looks exactly same as before, because I will just select star from fact job ads. However, I will give it an alias now. So F, I could do as F, but for simplification, we can skip the as. So just writing F. And then let's do this. Left join. What do I want to join on? I want to join on my dimensional models so that I can get this into this table. So I want to join them together. And what I do is left join. So it's based on the fact job ads. So I look into the that I choose. For example, I will choose job details. So left join, dimension, job details. I will call this JD on F dot job details. Let's see, job details ID equals to JD dot job details ID. So basically, in my dimensional job details, I have job details ID, right? And in my fact table, I have job details ID. So I join them together and I do a left join. So it's based on that the fact table has this. And this will lead to all the rows in the job details, which has corresponding surrogate key in the fact table will be joined together so that our table becomes wider, right? That is the idea. So when I do this, I will rerun it. And you can see it becomes wider. Now I have job details ID here. I have job details ID 2 because this comes from my dimensional table. And I have headline now because the headline comes from the dimensional job details. So I get this headline, I get the description HTML, duration, salary type, etc. You can see we get much more data now. That is because we have enriched our table. We have taken the data from the base that was the fact table, which is like a bridge table if you're familiar with dimensional modeling or data modeling in LCP sense. So then you have bridge or junction tables, and this is the fact table is like a junction table which has different surrogate keys which can be linked to other tables using primary key foreign key relations. So now we have joined on this one and we can add more stuffs. So comma, or actually not comma, left join, dim occupation actually it's called, dim occupation, to make it similar to the model name here, to not confuse. So dim occupation, I will call it O on F occupation ID, occupation ID, comma, O equals to O dot occupation ID, like this. So I run this and see that it works. Okay, if I go down here, we can see we have here occupation ID 2, and here we have the occupation group, occupation field. Okay, so it seemed to work. But however, I don't want to select everything. I just want to select the things that I need for my downstream applications. So I'm serving the BI dashboard. So what do I need to serve the BI dashboard? I certainly don't need to have job details ID and job details ID again, right? So I could skip those, but you could use this before to make sure that you actually get what you want. So for example, here, this row, 7F15 something and BE here. And if you go to this row here, it's the same. So that it means that the join has been correct. And you can double check with the occupation ID as well. To just check a few of them and see that it works. We will go into more sophisticated testing later on. However, now you don't want to select everything. You want to select few things that may be relevant. And also, you don't really know what your business stakeholders usually want. So you could give them more data than necessary. And also, if they want more data, they can ask you and you can add it on here. So what we could do is just add a few ones. jd.headline, f.vacancies, for example. So if I pick these ones, you can see these are the twos that I get. What do I want? f.relevance. We could have, if we had another model that was the employer, we could join on the employer as well so that we can get the employer name, employer workplace, etc. However, I don't have it here because I want to simplify it and I want to give you something to do so that you can implement a dimensional employer and you can join them together. Let me pick a few more. Occupation group, if that is interesting. Occupation field, f.application deadline, that is always interesting. And jd.description ml, jd.employment type, jd.duration, jd.salary type, jd.salary description, jd.working hours type. And of course, I have this on my notes already, but you should pick this up in the table, which columns you want to pick, right? So I run this one. Let's see, jd.employment binary values list. JD does not have a column named employment type. Yeah, that is probably true. Let me run this one. Yes, that was a mistake on my side. Employment type is in a dimensional employer. So here we have, okay, the headlines, vacancies, relevance, and also depending on which you pick first, you will get those in the column orders, right? So you can get the occupation here, occupation group, occupation field, application deadline, description HTML, duration, etc. So this is really cool. And now I have a Mart that is here. This is the Mart technical job. So let's see if we can get this to work. So I'm inside of dbt modeling. So what I do is dbt run. And you can see there were 4 models that were running. Why is there 4 models? 1, 2, 3, 4. Why isn't the source running? The free source tables or source models you can see here in dbt project. Let me see. Where is my dbt project? Here, dbt-project.yaml. You can see that the source is ephemeral. That means that they won't materialize to views. Instead, they will just be there so that they work as temporary tables to the other models. Okay, so now let's go in and check our warehouse. So cd out, let's see, ls, here's my DuckDB. DuckDB dash UI adds data warehouse. Okay. Here I am in my DuckDB ads demo. Yes, that sounds good. So adds data warehouse. Let's run the desk. What we can see now is, let's see, what can we see now? Marts. Under the Marts schema, it worked. We have Mart technical jobs. So let's do that. From Marts dot Mart technical jobs, run this one. And you can see it worked. And here you can see all the columns. And here is the data. Cool. So this was really cool. We have managed to get data from our Marts view. So we have materialized our Marts, and the Marts is depending on the different dimensions together with the fact table or the fact view. And then we joined them together and picked out those columns that were interested. And I suggest that you can follow along with creating other Marts so that I won't take away all the fun for you. But I hope that this was really informative for you, and I hope that you learned a lot. And in the next video, we'll connect this Mart into Streamlit to make a dashboard. So to show you that you can actually, it doesn't matter which BI tool you choose, you can still connect to the data warehouse, to the Marts layer, and create your dashboard based on that. Okay, so thank you for watching this video, and see you in the next one. Bye.